Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the Square Triangle podcast, where we talk about our wrestling shows and whatnot. Once again, a week after the last one, we're talking about Money in the Bank this time. Woo! Don't you just love this summer where there's a pay-per-view every week in the month of July?
Summer of wrestling.
Wrestle summer, baby. Let's go.
Wrestle summer. Yeah, we are talking about Money in the Bank. Overall thoughts?
This was a weird pay-per-view for me. It had some really good matches, but I think a lot of this is being overshadowed by the some of the worst parts of it that happened.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Let's just start off with the first match, I guess. First match was the women's?
No, it was the men's ladder match.
Oh, it was the men's ladder match.
Which is kind of different this year, because normally they start off with the women's, but now it went to the men's this year, so that was
correct.
Yeah,
bit of a different start.
Just fill the crowd in. We had Drew McIntyre, Chad Gable, LA Knight, Jey Uso, Andrade, and Carmelo Hayes as the six men in this ladder match. A pretty nice spread of individuals for a ladder match, if you ask me.
Honestly, as soon as I saw Carmelo Hayes, I was like, "Oh, that's gonna be a sick addition." Just seeing his body of work in NXT up until now, he hasn't really done a whole lot on SmackDown just yet. But I mean, they got to find a spot to put him in, right? So I'm willing to give them a little more time.
I think the last thing in recent memory was the match with the very odd cutter spot with Cody.
Yes.
So
I think they wanted him to breathe after that. They're like, "Hey, just take a couple seconds. That wasn't on you, buddy."
Yeah. So this was a very fun match. I mean, I have all my shit on my phone. I was watching it with my buddy Josh. Chaotic, as we can always expect these ladder matches to be. Chaotic, sometimes in the best ways. A lot of moments here that made me curious if anybody was gauging, where ladders were in this match, like the Spanish fly onto one. I don't think they really gauged like the distance, because even Andrade looks like he fucking hurt himself when he came down on that one.
Yeah.
I think I remember Gable doing like the hanging off the briefcase.
The hanging spot, yeah.
The hanging spot was sick.
Yeah, that was towards the end of the match here. Earlier in the match, he also had a funny spot where he just German suplexed a ladder to hit somebody, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
That was so stupid. I loved it.
I do want to say, for this kind of match, though, and everything in it that's memorable, LA Knight was really not in this match. When you think about all the spots and everything, like I feel like they've completely lost momentum behind LA Knight, and it's kind of upsetting. I think he probably should have had the US title by now, especially when it's on somebody who's not constantly around. It's just they're squandering it, like they really are.
And I really do think like they're being weird about it in a way, because I'm pretty sure they're trying to set up for LA Knight and Logan Paul at WrestleMania. I mean, not WrestleMania, but SummerSlam, right? But they just gone about it in such a weird way. Okay, why even put him in this match? I would have been just having him focus on Logan Paul and the US title. Build that up a little more before SummerSlam hits. He was just kind of a placeholder in this match. Didn't do anything too crazy. He was just there.
I will posit, like, there's nothing wrong with having like placeholders, even if it's like a very hyped individual. Like you're not going to be able to find six people just off rip that are all like red hot, right?
I mean, that's fine, but
I think that falls back to something we've mentioned. WWE's roster just is not large when you think about it. It's just like they don't have people that can serve as, constant jobbers or just like a placeholder filler. It's like they have the roster is their stars and like hardly anybody else that really fits into any position, which I think is one of the strengths when we talk about AEW, is like they can have people who can be jobbers, and take losses while still being there. But just WWE's roster feels almost like it's lean enough to be, good, but there's just not extra when you need it,
You're trying to say it's not deep.
They don't have like enough reserve stars and whatnot.
They don't have anybody like on the sideline who's like, hey, we need somebody who can lose to so and so for this match, and it's just like, oh yeah, we'll pull, Angel Garza out of catering and throw him into, a
Sure.
ring. It's just like they have that pool, but it's not very deep. And I feel like
That's
it
fair.
starts to show when all you see on these pay-per-views is the same, individuals most of the time. Like, you don't have that ability to rotate people, But
I mean,
everybody,
at one point,
what's up?
everybody in WWE at one point, back in 2019, 2023, they had an exceptionally large roster. And then, they cut it down year after year. And this is pretty much where we are now with WWE's roster. It's really thinned out when you think about it. And they haven't been able to sign some of the guys they wanted to because of Tony Khan and AEW. But, I think they're about ready to round the corner on that.
I mean, it's so thin. They're pulling TNA in. Like,
it's
We'll
thinned
get
out.
into it now, I guess.
yeah. So, WWE working with TNA is great. TNA has the longevity to show that, hey, we stuck around and we can do this. It's fascinating because you can clearly tell they're trying to poach people too. It's like,
obviously.
hey, we're gonna let Jordan Grace be in the Women's Royal Rumble and give her all the stuff on Saturday, so when the contract's over, she'll think about it. It's just like, it's like, obviously this is legal contract tampering if I've ever seen it.
If you think there's something, I really do think they're gonna put the NXT championship on Joe Henry soon. I don't think Ethan Page is gonna be in NXT very long.
I just want to sidebar real quick too. Everybody's like, in 4 weeks, WWE made Ethan Page a star, and it's like, did you watch the match? He won by dumb luck. It actually makes him look less of a fucking capable wrestler.
Also, it's like TNA when he was there.
Yeah, like it's like, he won the title. It's like, as a mistake, it actually does not help his case of being like a good wrestler in terms of storyline. They've purposely done that. Like,
I will say I do like
the finish was great.
I like this that Ethan Page is like leading the way into it. He's like, yeah, I'm the best. I did this. This is my belt. So like, props to Ethan Page for playing it up.
Yeah. So it's just like, it's just interesting to see all this shit going on and see where everything's going. We also saw that today WWE signed Stephanie Vacker, which is a big get. But at the same time,
Finally.
feel like these capable wrestlers that they are signing, people like Julia and people like Stephanie, why do you have to have them sit in NXT for an amount of time? You think it's more money just to throw them into the main roster a bit more?
Because you have to teach them how to work your style before you can get them on the main roster.
But you're not hiring them. The thing is, you're not hiring them. They're not hiring them for their style. They're hiring them because they're good in the ring at their own style.
That's true. But they're going to also teach them how to promo in WWE as well. So like I said, this is why I think Ethan Page isn't going to be down in NXT very long. He's just down there to get his name and face on television. Let the WWE crowd know who he is, and then he's going up to the main roster.
I will put money on it right now. I'll say this on the podcast, so if it comes up, we can refer this episode back. The moment Ethan Page leaves NXT, it'll be after the Austin Theory face turn, and he'll instantly be put with Grayson Waller. Like, it'll instantly be that new tag team.
That's just hard.
Because that's just how WWE is going to book that shit, with how these heels are being portrayed.
That's oddly specific.
Yeah.
Like that. That's how I'm like, I can already see the vision of like these cocky heels. It's like, let's just put him with Waller. Like,
the worst part is that would probably work out too.
It's going to work, but it's just like
similar personalities.
It's just one of those. It's just one of those things. I'm like, I can already kind of see it because I like Ethan Page. I liked him in AEW. I like him here now, but he doesn't have that kind of standout character, He definitely fits in more of just the generalized mold of a wrestling heel. So I think
again, not everyone in wrestling is going to be that
no, absolutely not
box office smash star, and you don't really want everybody to be.
No, not everybody's going to be in the main event, and that's okay. As long as he's good in his role, he'll be fine. I
Yeah.
think.
And everybody that they hire for the most part is good in their role, with the exception of Cross, who I still can't believe is still employed with this company. Like, and they're teasing a Cross Cena feud for the retirement year, and I'm like, why? Like, why?
I am of the opinion that as long as you do, just like any job, wrestling is no different. As long as you come in, you do your job, wherever you are on the card, you're fine.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, some
every
people
wrestler on every roster is just fine.
Yeah, some people are content being the support,
Yeah. It's not like the old days where people would go into business for themselves to try to move their standing on the card. That's not how it is anymore. You come in,
Cody did it.
That's it.
Cody did it.
Cody aside.
Cody did it. He was like, fuck your WrestleMania.
Right.
But back to this ladder match. Since we've sidebarred for a little while. This match was, I don't know, how long was this match? I have the thing brought up here. 16 minutes. This did not feel like 16 minutes. This match flew by in terms of the action in it. The fact that Andrade is speed champion, but they're not even letting him wear the belt, is really funny. Because it's, Twitter exclusive, so even if he's in your company, he can't be a champion going into this. It's like, god damn it. Just Andrade, what are you doing, man? There is the moment of, Andrade's in this match. Somebody's taking a sunset flip. And it did. They did the exact same sunset spot that Andrade always does in his ladder matches. Carmelo Hayes eating that sunset flip onto the ladder, which significantly less impressive than what the women did later.
Sure, but in the context
that was clearly the better
itself,
match.
It was a fine match.
That was clearly the better match. It took both men out. They were not involved in the match much after that, which they did their spot and all that. LA Knight gets chucked out of the ring with a belly to belly, which was really good. Like, Chad Gable really got his chance to shine again, and I'm like, why does this man not have a title on him?
He keeps running from the Wyatt Six. That's why.
Yeah.
He keeps having to run from the Wyatt Six.
Everybody else's story, normal wrestling story. Chad Gable's story is fucking Silent Hill, and he's trying to get out. I keep seeing that picture.
Resident Evil Chad.
Yeah. I keep seeing that picture. It's like everybody else's story. It's like normal, and it's like Chad Gable's storyline. It's the SpongeBob in the Silent Hill hallway. That picture that always goes around. It's just Chad Gable's living a horror movie right now.
I fucking love it.
I do too.
I love it. It's so funny. And then it was SmackDown, I think, where the Wyatt Six were coming out. And,
Jey Uso booked it.
Just and left.
Yeah, Jey Uso would survive the horror movies.
Yes, correct.
Jey Uso's smart. That's why.
Yeah. The end of this match looks like Jay is going to get the Money in the Bank briefcase. Camera cuts. Drew McIntyre is down with a ladder and just yeets it at him like a javelin, which I thought was a great spot because I don't think we've seen that in a ladder match.
Really, no.
Jay eats the javelin ladder, lands, eats a claymore, and then Drew McIntyre climbs up, wins Money in the Bank, and this sets the stage for what happens later in the show.
I would have been happy with almost any one of these people who were involved in the last little bit. Like Jey Uso, I would have been happy with Chad Gable, Drew McIntyre, any one of those guys winning. I would have been like, all right, cool. We're in there. I'm in.
Yeah. And that's the thing. This match felt like anybody could win when it came to Drew, Jay, or Gable. Like, those three felt like they had very good possibilities of winning this match. We are going to pivot for a second because there has been a discussion going on with considering what happens later in the night. Would it have been better for CM Punk to interfere here or wait until the title match?
No, in the title match.
Title match because it has more. It has more. What's that word for? It has more oomph to it. It has a little bit more.
In the ladder match, CM Punk would just be another dude. But in this, where it's 4 people versus 6 people, you see CM Punk and he's doing a thing, and he's actively screwing Drew over, and like the action is right there, and it's not just another highlight in what is effectively a spot match.
Yeah, because I'd seen arguments of CM Punk stopping Drew from getting the briefcase is the same outcome, basically, of what happens after the title match.
Well, the other thing is I thought it was a super interesting decision to have Drew cash the briefcase in and also lose. That just means that, and we'll get to that when we talk about the World Heavyweight title match. I just think, as we're talking about the briefcase itself, that there's none of that get out of jail free that we make fun of WWE about with Money in the Bank.
Yeah, and people also argued it's like the booking on the World Heavyweight title match is interesting, and we'll get to that when we talk to it, because Monday they just completely threw it out the window in terms of the agreement between Seth Rollins and Drew, or Seth Rollins and Damian Priest. Like, they just threw the booking out the window, and it was like, that's not going to happen. It's like, then what was the point of the stipulation? Like,
I mean, he didn't get pinned.
Yeah. So
if someone like picks into it, like, he didn't get pinned, so it doesn't really count.
It definitely also still builds into the Damian face turn that we know is coming. Making him more reasonable. But I'm like, so the impact of that is like strictly lessened, because at this point we either know Gunther's going to fucking destroy Damian Priest at SummerSlam, or Damian's going to retain against Gunther, and then what the fuck are you doing with Gunther until the next big pay-per-view?
No, it's clearly obvious that they're going to put the title on Gunther, because I think they pretty much set him up this whole year to be this monstrous force that's going to eventually take over the main event scene. And the setup for this goes twofold with the Judgment Day storyline, because I really do think that's when it kind of hits home. It's where it kind of becomes final right there. I think that's where the turn occurs at SummerSlam.
Okay. Oh, you think that the turn is concrete on SummerSlam?
Yeah.
I can see it.
I think everything ties in together.
I can
right
see
at
Finn.
SummerSlam.
I can see Finn also costing Damian the title for the turn, and that's what starts their feud probably until WrestleMania.
Because they've been building this Judgment Day breakup for a while now, and it's been on and off and on and off. And you have to have a definitive point, one of your biggest shows of the year, where that turn finally takes place, and that just all ties in the story. The briefcase itself,
about the bloodline.
Yeah, but they kept that going too long. But and on top of that, the briefcase also ties in the story, because when the Money in the Bank briefcase is normally cashed in, it has a lot to do with what point of the story they're at. Okay, sometimes they don't need it, or sometimes they'll just use the briefcase to kind of further another plot point along, or sometimes they'll just outright do a change. But everything around that briefcase is planned. Okay, so you kind of, there's this argument that's like, well, Drew should have held on to the briefcase a little bit longer. No, because the thing is, the briefcase wasn't intended to work like that. They always have some kind of plan behind it.
Yeah.
The plan is to continue to feud with CM Punk.
Yeah. Which is basically what they set up for SummerSlam.
Yes.
But it's crazy because we'll get to it again at the World Title. It seems like the feud after all of that is Seth and Punk moving forward. So it's like, the thing is, there's so many storylines that are tying together out of this one feud that it's just like, what's going to work best now?
They did this in the Attitude Era. You know what happened? One of the best Hell in a Cell matches in the world.
Yeah, I mean, when Drew and CM Punk finally get into a Hell in a Cell and Punk tears something 5 minutes in, it's going to be a fantastic Hell in a Cell match.
Also, wrestling ain't the only thing to do this, to tie in multiple storylines. Like, the MCU does this a lot. Mm-hmm. You know that.
But also, after a certain point, it's gotten bad.
That's also true.
Endgame is Cody getting the belt, and everything after that has been completely off the fucking wall.
Yeah, this is WWE Phase 4. It kind of sucks.
So
I like it.
It's interesting.
I like it still, but some of it actually does really fucking suck. But that's how it is.
Yeah. So after this incredible ladder match that I really enjoyed, this was kind of first match in. I was like, this is probably match of the night for me, unless anything blows it out the water. And lo and behold, it something did, and it was the other ladder match.
Yeah, it did.
Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker is the next match. The IC title. This was a great cool down match after all the action of the first one, and for what was weird for me, because I really thought that they had announced this Damian Priest Seth Rollins match to be the final match of the night, which with the ending of it, the ending of this match would have been a great way to end the pay-per-view. So it's really odd that they swapped to these two matches that they did, but or the 6-man and the World Heavyweight title. But the Sami Zayn Braun Breaker match was really good. Definitely wasn't given a lot of time, but didn't feel like it needed a lot of time. It really showed Sami being able to outsmart a physically stronger freak of nature opponent that is Braun Breaker. This man is
every time a Steiner does a
way
Steiner,
too athletic.
Every fucking time.
Yeah, he goes up, he hits the ropes, he poses, and then he Frankensteiners you. And I'm like, this man should not be able to move like this.
It's in his blood. You see, look up the Steiner brothers in Japan.
Yeah, I think also he comes out to a new theme, which in the Discord we all agree kind of sucked. So
it's worse than his previous one.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There is.
I blame Def Rebel.
That contract's almost up.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes here. I have a note here. There was a jumping knee to counter a haluva kick, which I think was Braun hitting Sami.
Yes.
Like with a really good jumping knee. And it's just like this whole back and forth of them countering each other's finishes. Like Sami was kicking him with like the 2 spears that he tried to hit. You know, it's just not letting himself get speared by this guy.
There was that story of that wide angle shot that Braun hits. And then he hit him first time. The second time, Sami jumped over it. I'm talking about like
he drove into the steps.
Yeah, and then the third time that it happens on the pay-per-view,
Braun stopped himself.
Stops himself. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, these two have pretty great chemistry, all things considered. A very different styles and also different physical like attributes. Like these two are great, and I would love to see this actually continue for a little while. I don't think Braun is ready for an IC title. You know, with how he's just kind of shown up and just destroyed people. But like I said, we keep saying like this is the workhorse title, you know, and Sami has definitely earned this for all the shit he's done over the last 2 years. You know, this and then beating Gunther, who made it, you know, a respectable title again after so many years of this being treated like an afterthought a lot of the time. I think when I was thinking about the IC title, I thought about all of Gunther's reign. And I think everything that came before that was The Miz and Dolph Ziggler's feud over it. Like, I felt like that was the last time the IC title really meant something, at least to me. Yeah. And then Gunther got it, and it was like, oh, this is actually just a fucking good title again because it's on people that make it feel like a title. Yeah, I like this match. What do you guys think?
I thought it was a really good match. I thought the storytelling in it was in the match itself. And especially, like I said, that wide shot with Braun Breaker going around. I thought that was great storytelling of like the 3-act play almost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I just kind of think that Braun Breaker works well with other workhorses. You know, guys like Sami Zayn, Carmelo Hayes. That's Braun at his best. Okay, we saw Braun almost at his best in this match, and I think if you continue to put him with people like that, he's gonna get it pretty quick. Okay, it's pretty obvious they're gonna make him a main eventer, but you know, this is just him testing the waters to see if he can kind of handle a match like this. He passed that test with flying colors.
I think so.
Yeah, I love this match. I really did.
Yeah, and things like if for a pay-per-view match, like they didn't go too crazy with it. This had moments of just feeling like a normal, like televised, like title match. But these two guys just brought in intensity to it and great in-ring, you know, storytelling. Sami really selling Braun's offense when, you know, he took it. Like it was great from both guys. I definitely enjoyed this match.
And and also in this post Vince era, they really handled all the call ups really well compared to what they used to. That's another thing.
We got
I
Carmelo
appreciate
Hayes
that.
in the first match. We got Braun Breaker here.
They really handle their call ups really well now.
Yeah, the thing that gets me is that I'm looking at the time cards for all of these matches. And yeah, I think I just have to agree. I hate it because I'm agreeing with the Twitter wrestling community. How the fuck you don't have a 3-hour pay-per-view in less than an hour and a half of wrestling? Like, it's less than half the time. I can agree I can understand. I can't agree. I can understand if it's 50-50. But when you have more ad time than actual wrestling, it almost feels insulting to these guys.
They got to cram in ads and video packages. That's what they do. But damn, I wish they had a little bit more wrestling on these pay-per-views, especially if it's going to be 3 hours.
And this falls back to the match card size that we keep talking about on these pay-per-views. This was 5 matches. Mm-hmm. And you could not give any of these matches just a few minutes longer. Just to give people what they paid for, basically. Yeah. Like, I can't imagine being at one of these events in the live crowd. Like, it's already awkward as shit as like a house show for a televised episode. I can't imagine paying for a pay-per-view ticket and then sitting there for 3 hours and watching an hour and 24 minutes of wrestling. Like,
it's almost like going to the movies. You're just watching the fucking TV screen half the time. But it is what it is.
I haven't been to a pay-per-view in a while. I think the last one I went to was the last time they had the Rumble here. I thought it was fine.
You live in a city where they do pay-per-views. We don't get those. We get TV events though.
You can drive to a city where they have them.
To be fair, the most memorable thing that we ever got in wrestling was when WWE invaded the scope for WCW.
Oh, with the tank and all that. Back in '98. Yeah, I remember that.
That was not it. That was the scope. That's where we go to watch the televised shows for Raw whenever they come in. They go to the scope.
The Hampton Coliseum.
Yep.
They just went from the Coliseum to the scope, which is about 45 minutes.
So one of the most memorable things that happened with me in a pay-per-view is I was there when Sheamus cleanly beat John Cena for the title the first time in the TLC match or the tables match.
Yeah.
And everyone online was claiming it was a botch or whatever. I was like, I watched that live. That was intentional.
Yep.
Cena practically jumped off.
Basically. So back to this pay-per-view here. Match number 3. Damian Priest, Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. During this match,
before we get to that botch, I thought this was a fine match.
This was a fine match. I want to say, in terms of the storytelling that was going on in here, during the match, even when they're in control of the match and an offense, both of these guys are looking to the ramp in paranoia because they know Drew. They know Drew has that briefcase locked and loaded, and they are both like looking over their shoulder at the ramp, like waiting for this man because they know he's coming. Yes. It's just a matter of it's not if, it's when.
I like the idea of Drew, and it's just in his physique, really, like of being this like Terminator type dude that just keeps coming at you.
Yeah, it's just so funny because the Terminator gimmick was just released in Dijak. So it's just like,
well, that's what happens when you leak stories.
I thought it was more like the Punisher gimmick with Dijak, but hey, whatever.
It basically is. He also, I think we saw him and I was like, why does this man look like the lead singer of Judas Priest? Like,
Bob Halford.
But yeah, so this is a pretty good match. Damian Priest and Seth Rollins have great chemistry together. There is the elephant in the room, though, of
let's get to this
production. There are 2 outcomes here. Production fucked up, or given his reaction on the video when you look at it, Damian Priest got knocked out slightly on that Falcon Arrow. We believe it was a production fuck up where Drew's music was supposed to hit and Seth was supposed to break up the pinfall when he saw that, Drew was coming down. Yeah. But there's videos on Twitter where you can clearly see like Damian like come back to alertness too during that pinfall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this was just like a bad timing of two things, I think, hitting at once.
I think both of these things happen at once.
Yeah.
If by two Damien doesn't hear the music, he should kick out. That should be the plan. But the music was late and Damien looked like he got knocked out. So I'm like, this was just like
it's a combination of the two, you know.
I don't know what. Oh, well, if he's knocked out, fair. But I think the plan is always to kick out there, and he's just knocked a little loopy. Even if Drew's music hits, you kick out it too.
Well, I think I see your. I shared the video too of it showed like the close up, like after when the ref goes for 3 and stops, Drew's hand like shake, or Damien's hand like shakes, like when he wakes up and he's like starts looking around. So like I think if it wasn't like knocked out, he got dazed by something before he came back to.
He may have hit that. He may have hit a little hard on the back of his head. Yeah,
people do the thing when the Falcon Arrow came down, it looks like Damian Priest's head hit Seth's knee. Yeah. Which if Seth has a brace on because of his knee problems, it's a little bit added.
That little bit at the end of the brace is gonna like clip you every time.
Yeah, but like you can see like a very visible like body reaction of like his hand like coming back like as he wakes up, and I'm like, unfortunately, I think it was two things that hit at the same time.
It was just a freak accident.
A very, very freak accident. But I think also when it comes to refs, you need to just kayfabe it. You need to just go for the count, and whatever happens, because it looks awful when it's like, ooh, it's like, no, that was legitimately a 3 count.
And you can hear the crowd too when it happened. They went like, oh.
Like when the crowd notices it, you fucked up.
The problem is the ref is doing his job. Seth is doing his job. Priest is the one not doing his job.
Production's not doing their job.
He's not silly. I get it, but
and on top of that, if this happened at AEW, this would be a whole Twitter.
Oh, this would be torn apart.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's been brushed under the rug. It's been brushed under the rug by the ICW. It's so funny.
That shit right under the rug, and it was like, hey, it was two. The ref counted the two. That's pretty much what Triple H said in the post.
The fact that he's just straight. It's like I saw a 2 count. I saw a 2 count. And we're like,
that is not what Triple H said. That is not what Triple H said. He goes. It looks like the ref counted it too. I don't know. I'm looking.
It looks like the ref counted it too. Okay.
Well, I'm just like, here's the footage. Here's the crowd reaction thing, and that says the new champion. So it's just like,
and then the boos after.
Yeah, cool. We'll go with that.
And then just like the very audible, like, the fuck is this shit from the crowd?
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell Damian Priest was pissed off at the end of this match too. That like things went this way.
I think the other thing about this is one of the other things Triple H said in the scrum is that he was like, well, like if I was I could speak as Triple H on that, because I agree, like when something like that happens, that's all that wrestler's gonna think about.
Yeah.
But see, my problem with
a great match.
See, my problem with it is, like I said, you eat other wrestling companies up over mistakes like this. So how about y'all just
keep
give
that same energy, Twitter?
Keep that same energy towards this shit when it happens. Okay, because y'all will eat up it was AEW, this shit, TNA, New Japan, they will eat fucking wrestling companies up over stuff like this.
We can
do it with WWE as well.
I will say I will forgive TNA. They had to go through a lot of years of the Bischoff era. I will forgive them on a bad count in the ring for a little while. And I think I've been sharing videos from that era of TNA, like all the back room segments that they filled and everything.
God, they were so horrible.
It's there's all but like
really bad.
Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan being like comedic geniuses during Sting's like Joker era, where they're both trying to figure out like, how the fuck do we handle this guy? Like, I'm watching like clips from that. I'm like, oh, if it wasn't just in such a terrible fucking time of wrestling, this actually would have been very funny. And if it weren't these two guys too, this would be very funny.
That's also the time period where Jeff Hardy, fucked up the main event of a match.
Oh yeah.
That was Victory Road 2011. I'm gonna never forget that one.
They complain too when they finally don't get their contracts re-signed. It's like my brother in Christ, the call is coming from inside the house. Like,
Yeah.
the problems are coming in from you. Like, it's not the company, it's you, my guy. Like, even under
Yeah.
AEW, you had to go to rehab. Like, it's not the companies, it's you.
I think he's back at TNA right now.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
both are. They're both back in TNA, which means
They both
they
went back to TNA.
eventually- they may eventually make their way to WWE if WWE sees fit. But
41 tag titles, let's go. Same thing, like, what, 38?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, something like that.
37. But also, okay, so I want to bring it up too. The stipulation of this match was if Priest lost, he had to leave the Judgment Day. And if Priest won, Rollins could not challenge for the title again as long as he was champion. And then Monday comes around and Damian throws that agreement out the fucking window. So, just saying.
Honorable man.
With the broom, y'all. We sweeping shit under the rug.
They were just like, oh, that stipulation fucking sucks.
Get that broom. Yeah. Uh-huh.
We need to have Rollins as a fallback in case anything else goes wrong here. So
Until someone else gets injured again.
yeah. So they threw that out. But aside from that, like, everything up until the cash-in this match was great. And the cash-in came after a very noticeable botch on somebody's part. The crowd instantly kind of dropped interest in whatever was happening. You had Drew come out. It made it a triple threat. It didn't make it a cash-in after a win.
That.
Which they were going for the triple threat, which I think was what Rollins did
Yes.
with Lesnar and Reigns.
Yes.
And then CM Punk shows up, beats the shit out of Drew McIntyre. And Drew loses his cash-in attempt after Damian Priest gets the pin. So are we building to McIntyre Punk for SummerSlam, or are we building to Rollins and Punk? Because after the match, Rollins was very, very pissed off at Punk too for costing him, any rematch potential that he might have had. So technically, Rollins lost.
In that case, I was gonna say, in that kayfabe, in that moment, Rollins like, well, I can't challenge for the title anymore.
We are getting like an unhinged McIntyre now. The post show, he did like attack the panel table and threw a punch at Pierce, and Wade Barrett had to break it up, which was really funny. A good bit of history between those two also. Back from their feud in the title scene. But he sent CM Punk home also on Raw to get him away from Drew, and Drew was suspended. So it's just like, are we going to see another home invasion angle? That's probably what's going to happen, right? Drew's probably going to start losing his fucking mind.
So shout out to Anxiety Lasagna, Without Context alum. She sent me a message, just a very, very, very just like innocent message of like, hey, are they like, when they're suspended, are they like suspended in real life? I'm like, no, they're not. I thought that was really funny. But I love you.
They will not announce a suspension on TV if it's actual.
They will announce it they will announce it on Twitter, and they'll announce it like on
their website or something like that.
Website. Yeah.
If they pull the person in to have like a segment, it's storyline. But if they're just like, no, this person just get the fuck out of here. Like with Punk and Jack Perry, they just took them off the air entirely and made an announcement.
And Pierce is supposed to be giving Drew a call next week to talk about things.
Yeah.
So interesting picture, at least for the feuds wrapping up in this World Heavyweight Championship picture. We're probably getting Damian Priest and Gunther at SummerSlam because of Gunther winning King of the Ring. Mm-hmm. We have the potential of Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, or Seth Rollins and CM Punk, depending on, I don't know, who wants to do business. Like, but it just seems like there's a bunch of threads just kind of tangled up in a nice little messy yarn. And it's curious to see what they do with all of them.
Yes.
I'm hoping the titles get back to some kind of prominence on these shows. DIY just won the tag titles back, so hopefully we can start seeing them on some pay-per-views coming down the line.
Yeah.
What's up?
Huh? They won the titles back?
No, they won the titles.
Yeah, they won the title. They won the title of SmackDown.
Oh, well, because like they haven't won those titles yet. I didn't think.
Yeah, they won them last week on SmackDown.
Huh?
Yeah,
That's how little I
DIY.
watch SmackDown.
Yeah, DIY is SmackDown Tag Champions. So
Oh, cool.
Because I think
shout out to my shout out, and our truth is like shout out to my boys Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. So I think they're starting the Austin Theory face turn soon. This is what's going to happen.
Okay, he pulled Waller off of them too when he was jumping them. So yeah, there's a lot of little things being built up now.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get to my favorite match of this fucking card.
Oh yeah,
And mine too.
These women
amazing.
killed it.
We were talking earlier about like the call ups. Everybody here, with the exception of like Naomi, is a call up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they are.
Also, between the IC match and the World Heavyweight Title match, there was a John Cena segment where he did announce that he is retiring by the end of next year. The wording of it all, though, is very interesting because he says that I am retiring from WWE at the end of next year.
He's not going anywhere.
And I'm like, are we going to see John Cena in the Impact Zone?
They pay him too much.
God.
They pay him too much. I do want to
No.
see him in TNA,
No.
but I think they can do that through the working agreement that they have. They don't have to do that through him being leaving.
I wonder if this is just more than a working agreement at this point. If Anthem's going to probably try to dump this company off on WWE, but that's just an internal thought I have. There's nothing behind it.
That fucking TNA for yours.
Yeah,
It's like,
just give me like a couple $1,000,000 and call it a day.
yeah, that was the thing too. It's like with people signing and like other companies. When Stephanie signed earlier, it's like she had to relinquish CMLL and the New Japan titles, and I'm like, oh, that has WWE spelled all over it. Like the two partners for the AEW that she could have kept the titles for, even if she went to AEW.
They're usually pretty good about letting people work out their last dates. I wonder if this is more when they do this means they're going to go right to the main roster.
Yeah, and that's what I feel. But the thing, it's like it's so weird because if she goes right to the main roster, then where the fuck's Julia? Like,
Julia's probably working out her dates.
Yeah, because
I think she's been in Marigold.
Yeah,
before
she had a match
went to
at
NXT.
Marigold recently.
What kind of sweet deal is that? You're signed to go to WWE. You're signed to show up in NXT. And then the guy who got you in contact with WWE is like, I'm going to make my own company. And you're going to be the star for a little while. So you still haven't gone to the company you signed up for. It's like,
And
God damn, Julia.
all
And you're
around.
still getting paid. It's like,
Getting paid with
God
both
damn.
companies at this point.
God damn, Julia. Get that money.
Because we all know she's taking the title from Roxanne. They're going to make her the face of the damn women's division. And deservedly so, because she has a lot of charisma and personality. So
The NXT women are watching Julia matches and just mentally preparing themselves for that bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
She's going to work so stiff. It's going to be hilarious.
It's going to be
It's-
pretty great.
like, all right, Julia, no stiffing. It's like, this is the only way I know how to wrestle.
You mean
but
no stiffing?
Tell them girls to get stronger chins.
it's like,
you
no,
could.
I'm not going to turn it down. Your women have to turn it up. Like,
Especially if Stephanie Vaquer gets there, because if they hit them two cross paths, that's going to be fun.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I can't.
This match, a lot of call-ups. We had Tiffany Stratton, Chelsea Green, Io Sky, Lyra Valkyria, who I am going to fucking simp for this whole thing because she showed up in this match and it's fucking incredible.
Oh, you're saying for her ability.
She's incredible.
She's fantastic. I need more of her on TV. She's so fucking good. Naomi and Zoe Stark. Hi, Zoe. Welcome back. She also teamed up with Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler.
They could never make me hate you, Zoe Stark.
This match had no business going this hard. That's all I'm going to tell y'all.
I still want to say, dude, just like watching this, just welcome back, Naomi, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
There can only be one winner. What do you want?
well, it's like, one of my notes, she didn't really do anything. Like, they don't let her, like, do anything. She hasn't really done anything since she's come back. Like, it's just like, why the fuck? I guess, husband and stuff like that, sure,
Well, on top of that, I read somewhere that I think they're discussing some women's intercontinental United States titles.
I saw that too,
I mean,
they're introducing more titles.
That could be something for her to do, you know. A lot of other girls on the roster as well.
Also, IWC, 2 more titles in WWE. Keep that energy about too many titles.
Yeah,
That's true too.
Keep that energy. I think if I actually count, if they added a women's intercontinental and US, I think in terms of AEW, not AEW Ring of Honor, just AEW and WWE, I think they have equal titles now. So
Just about.
Yeah, so it's just like, I don't know. Well, also, I feel WWE might have some more too, because it's like 2 brands have their own titles. But yeah, this match fucked. This match was so good. Io and Lyra, I think, at their own point, stole the show here.
For sure.
I mean, you're telling me Io's like, I'm in a ladder match? You got it. I'm gonna show the fuck up.
Io was in her element in this match because boy,
I was mad.
Showed out.
I was mad there was no trash can spot in this match.
Yeah,
they can't do it every year.
She saves that for War Games a lot, which is cool.
There were some fuck ups at the start of this match, though. I'm going to point out. Same thing with the men's. I don't think people were really gauging where ladders on the ground were, because Zoe does the flip over the ropes to try to land on somebody and completely like hits her head on a ladder. And then I think she slammed Lyra down and kind of caught her on like the shoulder because the ladder wasn't completely out of the way. And I'm like, Zoe, you're fucking up a little bit. You're speed running CTE. Like,
especially what happens with her and Io later on. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was just 2 things, like Zoe just not being aware of where ladders were in comparison to where she was supposed to be. Like her doing the flip over the rope and hitting her like head and neck on a ladder spot looked like it could have gone really poorly if things had, had a little bit more force or momentum behind them. You can tell too, like she landed, like was like, ow, like rubbing the back of her head and shit, and like checking to see if it was bleeding. Because I'm like, yeah, you just fucking nailed your head on a fucking ladder. Like, there was another scary moment in this match that I'm glad worked out. Tiffany Stratton trying to do the moonsault off of the turnbuckle. It looked like she was not getting enough rotation. If nobody were there to catch her, she probably would have gone straight down into the outside of the ring.
Yeah.
And that was the only spot. That was one of the only spots that actually like scared me. I was watching it. I was like, she's not rotating enough. This is gonna be real bad if nobody catches her. Like,
we're like gymnastics coaches.
We're not, but I was just like, I also saw people had to like move in, to catch her, and I'm like, that could have gone very poorly. I don't know. I think it was just them being out of position, all things considered, but she also didn't seem like she was getting enough rotation on that. But that's just me picking at what I was seeing on my screen. And now I get to the point where I sim for Lyra a little bit. There's a spot where she's on the ladder, like leg hooked and like laying down on it, and Io is just stomping the shit out of her.
That looked brutal. And
I'm like, Lyra is taking this like a champ, though. And she's selling it great. And it's just like, God, I need more. Like, she's just so great. This is my first real time seeing her, too. I didn't watch a lot of NXT, And I think the only other time she was really there was the Women's Royal Rumble, which not everybody got a lot of time to shine.
Now, as far as Lyra goes, I didn't really get to see a whole lot of her until she got the American NXT, because I know she was a staple in NXT UK. And
probably more likely.
I feel like they were going to put the UK title on her, the Women's UK Championship, but I think she suffered a knee injury over there that put her out for a while. And she is fantastic. And it would have been completely justified. She was NXT champion for a reason, and she had a really good run. She had a fantastic match with Becky down there. She gets to the main roster and she just fits right in. Okay, and I just enjoy seeing her on TV every single week. She is absolutely fantastic.
Yep, same.
Yeah, there was actually, I don't take it back, there was a Naomi spot in this match where she did the Jean-Claude Van Damme like spot with the 2 ladders.
Yes.
That was dope.
Which was really good.
That, and you were like, Naomi didn't do anything this match.
Yeah, so I take that back. I remember that spot now. And then Lyra also taking the power bomb onto the ladder, I believe, from
Yes.
Zoe Starks, which
Yeah.
knocked her out of the match. I don't think she came back after that.
And then there was that one spot where Io Sky just absolutely drilled Zoe Stark
Yes,
on the ladder.
Twofold here. Crazy spot in that match to pile drive Zoe from the top of the ladder onto another ladder. And kudos to Zoe for agreeing to take the spot. Like, especially with somebody that much smaller than her.
Yeah.
You know? Io also selling that move the way that she did, just kind of like doing the bridge on the mat, like just holding her ass after everything hit the ladder.
I liked that specifically because it looked like her taunt where she like holds back.
Yeah.
So it either way, it was really good cover.
But this was not just a spot fest match. There was a story that was being written during this match that would come back at the finish. And that was Chelsea Green and Tiffany Stratton kind of working together at times. They set up tables with the intent of putting somebody through them, kind of forgot about them, and it came back to bite Chelsea Green in the ass. She takes one of the best table spots I think I've seen a woman take in one of these matches.
Oh, Chelsea Green is fantastic at that too, because she took a table spot in TNA, and same thing, she just absolutely kills it. So she is secretly one of my favorite people right now.
So Chelsea Green climbs the ladder, overcoming her fear of heights, which they alluded to as like a story for her. She goes for the briefcase. Tiffany Stratton joins her, pushes her ladder down. Chelsea takes a big table spot outside of the ring. And Tiffany Stratton gets Money in the Bank, which was the right finish, I believe, out of this match.
That was the right call.
So fantastic from everybody, you know.
Again, because you could have had Lyra get it, but it would be like too much too soon. I think Tiffany Stratton was the right call for this one.
They've been building up Tiffany.
Yeah, and it probably will play into her thing with Nia Jax later on when we get to SummerSlam, but you know.
Yeah, it's just this was such a good fucking ladder match.
Yeah, it was. It was better than the men's match, I thought.
Just the way that Zoe sold that diving pile driver onto a ladder, like hits, rolls, does like the stiff stand and just falls over, and it's like, oh yeah, she's out of the match for the rest of this, because that's the point where she is out of this match. And Io just can't do anything because she's in so much pain from taking that spot. So it opens it up for Chelsea and Tiffany to be the big finish. And yeah, I mean, they had a plan with Tiffany. They wanted to build her up. They put her in that triple threat, you know, at the other pay-per-view. It's just Tiffany Stratton. Let's go. SummerSlam.
And the crowd is taking to her like fire as well, you know, because they're just cheering for her now. So I don't know. We'll see what they do with her.
It's in fact Tiffy time.
Yep. It is in fact Tiffy time, and I'm excited for it.
I'm looking forward to see where it goes.
This was definitely my favorite match of the night, because this next match, I'm like, I've seen this match 1,000 times. So, and I'm like, they even have it ending roughly the same way. Like, we have the new bloodline. I'm gonna call them the new bloodline of Solo, Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and Tama Tonga. And I will say this was Jacob Fatu's match to showcase himself, and he is officially the most over person in the bloodline, I think, after this match. And we have Cody with his two best friends, the two guys who are notorious for betraying their best friends. So it's like, Cody, you're teaming up with two notorious backstabbers.
I think in canon, the last time a backstab happened with Kevin Owens, he was the backstabby.
I think so.
Because it was Jericho.
No, he stabbed Jericho in the back.
Oh,
yeah, because he put Jericho in the chair and threw him into the turnbuckle, and then Jericho showed up in AEW.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But
it really, he backstabbed the fans.
Yeah. And Randy Orton, I think they're also teasing him being a potential competitor. There are a lot of shots of him eyeing the belt whenever Cody's with him. So, knowing them and their history, that's a perfect feud to at least build up on, and it's something that I think will still deliver in terms of just classic style wrestling. These two are very similar to each other. And Randy also doesn't need to win the title. He's, old enough in age now. He's just there to be a constant presence on the roster.
His retirement's going to hit really hard, man, when he gets there.
Especially since John Cena just retired. Jeez.
Yeah.
I didn't write anything for this match because it's just the same kind of chaotic shit that we always see with the bloodline matches towards the end.
But at least we got a funny botch out of it.
We did. I do want to say
out of it at least.
I do want to say Jacob Fatu taking the draping DDT and then instantly no selling it.
That was dope.
Was just like, he's that man. Like he is the enforcer of this new bloodline. Also, just going to the finish of this match. Congratulations, Solo. You are now 1-40 for the last year. So, I think this was Solo Sikoa's first win in fucking ages. So
he beat Cena clean at SummerSlam,
and he had not
at WrestleMania.
And then he had not won a match after that. I think somebody was his house. They kept showing his whole feud during house shows with LA Knight. He lost every fucking match.
Right.
So it's just they got to do a lot to rebuild Solo a little bit. So, and they're doing that by putting a better wrestler in the faction with him.
We also have to teach Tonga Loa how to do a low blow properly now, apparently. Because
I have a theory. Here. I believe they signed Tonga Loa because nobody else would. And they're like, we can tie him into Bloodline. I don't think Triple H ever saw the video of him and Okada where he's doing the bad karate chops to
God.
him.
That shit was funny.
And then he saw him botch a low blow.
And not only did he botch the low blow,
there's
a second angle of this of him punching Tama in the forehead while doing a low blow.
It's so funny because Tama Tonga is ready to be lifted up in the package pile driver or whatever KO is about to do, and then you just see bonk right to his forehead.
He visibly winces too.
Yeah. I'm he just got punched in the face.
You gotta sell it. It was so funny though.
I will give him the benefit of a doubt. There was the spot a few minutes prior, the dive outside the ring, where it looks like he hit the announce table real fucking hard.
Yeah,
and then just kind of slumped against it after taking it. So I'm he might be a little dazed. I can understand that, but bro, it's a low blow. People who aren't wrestlers have done that more convincingly. But this match, man. What can you say about it? It's the Bloodline versus Cody. With the exception of the Seth Rollins feud and the brief Brock Lesnar feud, this has been Cody's feud for the last 2 years. I'm tired of it, man. I'm just so exhausted of this now. It's Cody, you're the champion. Just let it go.
we gotta get Cody some new challengers, man. That's why I wouldn't have minded if he had a feud with Gunther at some point. But Gunther's a Raw. He's about to be champion, so put him against anybody right now.
But the thing is, there is nobody. Let's think they haven't built anybody. That's the problem with AEW. They have not AEW, but WWE. They haven't built anybody up to be on Cody's level. It's just, what the fuck are we doing here, guys? This brand split is actually, I think, hindering a lot of potential shit. You could have somebody over on one, show just show up on the next one and be hey, fuck those, I want yours, and have it still mean something,
And this is why I think WWE just needs to start trying out some new people on the in the main event scene. Just get a core of 6 guys that are maybe mid card, upper mid card that may have some potential. Just maybe try them out for a little bit because
something where they will do a good match, but losing won't hurt them.
Yeah, because otherwise we're just cycling this champion versus Judgment Day, this champion versus Bloodline. These champions trail off for a minute, then they get back to these two groups. And that's pretty much the cycle of WWE as of late. It's just everything goes through the Judgment Day or the Bloodline.
I also forget, it was so lackluster with the exception of the match. I forgot that Cody even feuded with AJ prior to this.
Yeah.
It was just such a lackluster build to it. So it's just kind of
both the matches were good though.
they were good matches, but like I just forgot that it was a thing. You know,
Yeah.
like so it's just that's the thing. I think their roster may be a little too shallow. You know, I think having some TNA guys thrown into the mix might be nice, but that's just think it's like
I'd like to see some TNA guys on the main roster. But
Yeah.
then who is it?
yeah, that's the
Still
thing. Like,
injury.
They just put him on
Just-
NXT.
it doesn't have to be long, and he can take the loss. Throw him against Frankie Kazarian. They have a history with AEW. You could easily just be like, hey, you know,
That's true.
just you have guys that can lose, but at the same time, I don't know what the working relationship with TNA is. If TNA is gonna be cool with their guys just coming over and losing, so it's just TNA is always
I don't
kind of
know.
getting that end of the deal when it comes to other companies. It's like, but
I think their stars just like wrestling, to be honest.
yeah, they're just good. They just have good wrestling. That's TNA has always been kind of consistent in their wrestling quality.
Let's not say always.
In recent times.
Lately, they've been consistent.
And I think a lot of that was also
Wait.
Scott Amore, who, you know, they
I
let
would say for
go.
the last 10 years, honestly. In the post Hogan TNA era,
Yes.
they've been
There
consistent.
you go. There you go.
I think they have suffered though losing Scott
Got them
Over at-
yeah.
over at TNA.
Yeah.
So, and all it is like, I just want a little more money because we're doing great. I just want a little more money to just make it bigger. And they're like, "Fuck you," and then let him go. It's like.
I'm not sure why either WWE or AEW hasn't picked him up yet. Because he would be an amazing pickup for either one of those companies, especially AEW right now.
He'd be good on he'd be good on the creative side of things, which, you know, I'm
Yeah.
not going to say nobody's perfect on it. AEW needs a more consistent creative team that isn't just Tony. And I think Scott has a great mind for creativity. So
I think he does.
I think it's
he'd
just
be very useful.
overcoming. I think it's just Tony overcoming maybe a fear of letting somebody else take over for a little bit. You know, it's just one of those things. You know, there's still maturity that needs to occur, and I'll say every company to some degree.
Oh, still relatively brand new in the scheme of things.
Yeah, people
Yeah,
are
so
like,
they
oh,
got
they've had
6
5
years?
years. People are like, oh, they've had 5 years to get everything over. And it's like, yes,
That's
but
not how that works.
that's not how that
That's
works.
ain't how that works.
I'm 34 years old. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
You
It's
do,
like-
do not lie on this. Do not lie on this podcast and say you're 20 anything.
I
None
had
of
to
us
correct,
are.
I had to correct myself. It's like,
Shit, the last time I was in my, haven't been 20 in forever. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So,
I'm just like, I'm
shit.
30. As time recording, I'm 34. I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing half the time. So a multi-million-dollar company probably has the same issues.
on top of
It's
that,
like-
we've all said this, and on top of that, we've all said this about TNA in the past. Okay, about this company's gonna shut down soon, blah blah blah. That damn thing has lasted longer than
TNA
WCW.
has lasted.
Twice as the amount of time that WCW has been around. Okay,
TNA has lasted
they'll
longer
be
than the
fine.
Confederacy.
yes,
Yes,
it'll
multiple
be fine.
times.
Okay,
Yeah,
these
TNA
companies
hit
been
what,
around-
20 something?
Yes.
That's 20-something
TNA
years old
turns
now.
22 years old this year.
Yeah. And it's just so funny because everybody's like, oh, AEW's not going to last longer
It'll
than
be fine.
WCW. And it's like, they got 40 weeks before they've outlasted Nitro.
Yeah.
And if TNA can last as long as it has with its investors and the varying quality and all the bullshit that's gone on with it, even if they lose a TV contract, even if they lose whatever, they're young enough of a company to understand, hey, we can put our shit on the internet. AEW will be fine. They'll never hit those big numbers again, but Tony Khan has the money that it's not going to die until he's like, I'm done with this. Like,
Yeah.
I think TK has the too much money to fail money.
he does. And the people don't want to accept it. When his dad dies, it's probably all his.
No, it will be all his.
So
Unless he has other family
AEW,
members in front of him.
AEW is not going to die. People want it to die, but TK, I think, is at this point, like, fuck you. I have fuck you money. It's
Yeah,
like-
pretty much.
Literally, he
I
has
think that's the
fucking
best way to
money.
call it. It's fuck
but
you
also,
money.
like, it's never going to be like a deficit because he makes money on a soccer team. He makes money on the Jacksonville Jaguars. If he wanted to buy a baseball team, he probably could. he's going to have enough money coming in from other things that even if AEW's operating at a loss,
it's going to Jaguars.
Yeah, it's going to, even if AEW operates at a loss, the rest of the money is going to offset that more than likely. So it's just like
just be a tax write-off.
If I had that money, I would. It's like
write off AEW as a tax write-off. We weren't profitable, but
we can still make money off the shit via tax write-off.
Again, and again, the same thing. If AEW dies, a lot of those guys go to New Japan. A lot of those guys probably go to TNA. A lot of those guys probably get picked up by WWE. But the thing is, with the AEW going, those aren't your only options anymore. It's always the alternative is good.
I would go so far as to say like they would be unemployed, and that's worse.
Yeah, look, they just go back to the indies.
Look, I'm gonna just say the only company that's really a dumpster fire and it could be in a lot of trouble is AAA at this point because that shit has no momentum whatsoever. Okay, other than that, every other wrestling company's fine. It's going to be. Okay?
Yeah,
AEW is going to be around for it's going to be around for a long time as long as Tony Khan sees fit. This isn't even an issue. Okay, eventually somebody will talk him into one of the smaller arenas and shit, and they'll make money. So I don't see this as a big problem.
I want to point out Tony Khan is only 41 years old. So if anything, we have decades of this if he wants it to exist. Like
basically,
he's younger than Triple H. He's like almost a decade younger than Triple H. Holy shit.
Yes.
Triple H is like 53, 54 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't believe anybody's in trouble. I think every company right now is doing fantastic.
Except AAA.
This is another one of those pay-per-views of, can we agree on like a universally accepted number of matches on a card? Because if you're going to give me 7, give me 2 hours of wrestling, 1 hour of advertisements if you're going to do 3 hours. Just at least make 66% of your show fucking wrestling. Please. It's like, but I understand money. WWE, publicly traded, advertisers, they have to make money for other people.
Advertisers, investors, shareholders.
AEW needs to tone down the number of matches on a card. Admittedly, I think we've all agreed. We all can agree on that. Quality is not good if the quality is being overshadowed by quantity, because you don't have time to process the match you just saw, because instantly a new match is starting. And it's probably going to be just as crazy as the last one. Anywhere between 7 and 10 would be an acceptable fucking number, depending on what show it is. I think B shows in WWE, you can probably get away with 6. But like a 2-night fucking SummerSlam, like if you're going to give me 2 nights, it's only like 5 matches on each night. You can kiss my ass. It's like you have a whole extra day to build up a few more stories, and that's the best you can do.
You considered money.
Yes, I have considered money. I also have considered WWE is also, probably the most lucrative wrestling company. We all know the whole second night is just for more advertising.
Oh, duh.
Let's go.
It always feels like the second night isn't as great as the first. Well, except for WrestleMania because of the main event, but
I will say, only one that has 2 nights right now.
I will say, SummerSlam is in Detroit, right?
That's Cleveland, I think. Oh no, wait, is it Detroit? I can't remember.
Is it Detroit this year?
I want to say it's either Detroit or Cleveland. I can't remember.
Cleveland.
There it is.
That's the Wikipedia's fucked up. The 2024 SummerSlam is an upcoming professional wrestling event in Cleveland. Next in the SummerSlam chronology, 2026. Are we not having one next year? It's like
they haven't announced it, I guess.
That's fair.
Wikipedia only puts stuff up that has been formally announced.
Yeah.
So
they don't have it. It's just gonna be the final one night SummerSlam.
Also, we're getting Bad Blood back, which is a weird fucking pay-per-view choice to bring back.
Every match is a first blood match.
Dude, I wouldn't complain.
And also, that's on October 5th, right? It's
believe
almost
so.
27 years to the day Brian Pillman died at that pay-per-view.
Oh God, they're going to kill Brian Pillman Jr.
Jesus, he is in that company. Come to think of it, nice.
His whole gimmick is he doesn't want to be his dad.
Yeah.
Yes, the first one held since 2004.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Bad Blood was to be revived in July of 2017, but they were scrapped for Great Balls of Fire. Remember that pay-per-view?
Pay-per-view. We'll never probably see another one of those pay-per-views again.
I remember the polls for that turned out to be Great Balls of Fire. And they're like, which one of these do you like best? And Bad Blood was on there.
Well, the reason I was asking of where this pay-per-view is being held is because also we have gotten confirmation, or at least hinted at from Motor City Machine Guns, that they are done wrestling on the indies, which doesn't feel like an AEW signing. It feels like a WWE signing to have them stop working for other promotions.
Oh yeah, they did get signed by WWE. I think I read that somewhere.
So Motor City Machine Guns going to WWE, I guess, to inject some young blood into that tag team division. I say, as the Motor City Machine Guns have been wrestling for 20 something years now. So, yeah, interesting signing so far from WWE. People that I did not expect them to actually get. So that TKO money has probably started showing up. But yeah, we were talking about a Bloodline match, weren't we? Yeah. Bloodline stuff happens. A ref bump, and Cody eats the pin, if I remember correctly. Yes. Or
it really goes to show how much we really cared about this match. We're talking about this other shit.
I honestly could not give a shit about this match when I was watching it.
I couldn't either.
Like, as somebody who actually like kind of enjoys the new Bloodline, like, this match sucked.
There was just, I don't know what it is, man. I feel like Tama Tonga honestly is just phoning it in. And like he's just going out there and wrestling, which I don't blame him for. He's been wrestling for years in New Japan. But like Tonga Loa fucking botching the way that he did, Solo just having zero aura to him. Like the most exciting guy in the new Bloodline is Jacob Fatu, and I'm like, this man could be a solo act right now and just be like tearing through people.
He's probably the best part about this new Bloodline right now, because like, I mean,
I feel like if the title match is Cody Solo, they fucked up. It should be Cody Jacob.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, you're putting him into this group when this man is so much better than the other three. Like,
the other three combined.
I'm just like, I just don't give a shit about this match.
And then he lost a lot of weight, and that dude just moves even faster than he did before, man.
Yeah.
Oh, he slimmed down, and I mean, he
slimmed down a lot.
He did Jeff Hardy's like flip off the turnbuckle. I forget what it's called.
The Whisper in the Wind.
Whisper in the Wind.
Yeah, I'm like, that man should not.
Jeff Hardy,
I'm like, that man should not be able to do that. Like,
Jeff Hardy can't even do that move anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So it's just like, I don't know. I just could not bring myself to really give a shit about this match. It wasn't a bad wrestling match. It's just, we've seen it. We've seen this so many times.
No, it was a bad wrestling match. It was not a great
it was just more it was just more of the same. I will just put it at that.
That's why I feel like you put this on in place of the World Heavyweight Championship, and you have a better conclusion to the pay-per-view with Drew getting screwed. Like, instead of just your undisputed champion taking the pin. I don't know. This is a weird, like, ordering choice on these matches. I also think probably the women's ladder match would have been a better way to end this card. But I
think either the women's ladder match or I don't think the women's ladder match would have main evented. I think it was a great match. I loved it, but I think the world heavyweight match should have
the actual title match, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
there's obviously a bias in WWE towards the WWE Championship and not the World Heavyweight that just came out a few months ago.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a B pay-per-view, I suppose. But I don't know. It's just this last match. I was like,
I like that it did advance some storylines overall. Like,
yeah, it did progress some stuff.
It moved some needles.
Yeah, so it did its job doing that. But I was just like, man, by the time this match came on, I'm like, I don't care.
I think in terms of AEW pay-per-views, which are like the reset button, and WWE pay-per-views that are like the season finale versus
the mid-season break. The mid-season break.
Yeah. The season break. And
like, here's our break.
It's like 3 weeks later. There's another one. But my point is, as far as the storyline goes, it's the season break, and then it goes to, the next arc in that story.
Yeah.
Whereas AEW just does a clean break most of the time. Yeah,
it's like, okay, cool. Big finish. Everything is kind of adjusted. We've progressed some new stuff. Here's our new stories. And this was like, all right, here's a halfway point of a few of these feuds. Because this probably doesn't finish the Braun Sammy feud. We're probably going to get a few more months out of that. This only continues Cody's vendetta against the bloodline that he apparently has.
Yeah, I just feel like, all the events and these pay-per-views, they run towards bigger pay-per-views where they kind of finish it off at that point. So, like I said, everything's building towards SummerSlam right now because they got to sell that. And then, I think they hit the reset button after SummerSlam with new feuds, new champions, and all that. But for right now, this is pretty much what it is. It's pretty much continuous build towards one of the big 4 pay-per-views.
I'm on Twitter right now and I'm looking. It's like somebody posted the Ospreay Danielson match where they just face off and the crowd goes crazy like they did with Omega and Danielson. And it's like, this is going to be Julia and Stephanie for the NXT Women's Championship. In one of the comments, everyone's forgetting that they had one match together and it was actually the worst on the card. So it's like, oh, I'm going to need to find that and see exactly what these two were getting in. But that was also probably before they, made improvements and stuff like that. But I'm just like, suddenly all these people that WWE fans did not know existed being touted as like the top stars coming in just because they signed with the company.
Yeah.
It never fails. It always makes me laugh. Like, I'm just like, God, you guys are so fucking phony. I mean, I'm happy. Stephanie chased that money. I don't blame her.
Yeah, no, I respect the shit.
You're going to sign with whatever company is best for you. Ospreay did it for his family and the relaxed schedule. Stephanie probably wants the exposure and the money. She also gets far more exposure on WWE, I suppose.
Yeah.
But so I can't blame them. But at the same time, I'm like, just don't act like you fucking were excited for them to show up. You didn't even know they existed.
I will say, I am based on the one match we've seen with Stephanie Vaquero.
She's great.
I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, I told you. I'll admit, that was the first time I saw her in action. She was fantastic. Like any company would be great to have her. WWE landed it. So
and that was smart of WWE to come scoop her up as fast as they did because he knew Tony Khan was going to offer her something eventually. Stephanie Vaquero was not going to be in CMLL too much longer after that match at Forbidden Door. Like,
I think we said that on the episode.
Yeah, because the thing is, it's like Ricochet, man. Like when he fell on the radar after his match with Will Ospreay years ago, which they're going to run that back hopefully when Ricochet gets there. Yep. And it's just the same principle.
We had the vignette shown on Collision for like Hollow Dodge GRM, and everybody's wondering who the fuck is this guy, and it's like, it's Ricochet, and I'm like, that man in that video is way too white to be Ricochet.
So, like the full Hawk and shit.
Hold on a second here.
But then we see the mask, and I'm like, is this the Aerostar?
Yeah.
Like, is this a new Aerostar? And I'm like, it doesn't look like Aerostar's mask. After looking at it, I'm like, that looks like a different mask. And then everybody's like, it could be Sammy. And I'm like, oh my God, it could be Sammy. Like, I had that thing. I was like, oh God, Sammy's coming back as like a luchador. Like, it was that moment of fuck. Like,
I
But
mean, wasn't
I
he
hope it's
Lucha Underground?
but also people point out it's like it looks like he's going through like a time portal, and I'm like, are we getting Kushida in AEW? Like, is that what's happening? Like,
I thought
but I'm like,
Kushida was
but
in
I'm like,
TNA still.
but then Kushida doesn't wear a mask, so I'm like, I'm actually fucking invested. Who is this guy? It's like, but yeah, when Ricochet shows up, more than likely, I hope as a heel. I hope they swerve us and bring him back as like a full blown heel.
Yeah.
Considering how babyface Ospreay is right now, you don't even have to put the title on Ricochet. Just let us run that match back. You know. But yeah, somebody also pointed out AEW does a lot to bring foreign stars to the American like attention. With all the stuff in New Japan, you know, brought eyes to people. Stephanie, you know, showing up on Forbidden Door, but also forget how good AEW Dark was for a lot of WWE's roster right now. Javante Evans was on Dark. Roxanne Perez was on Dark.
Fallon Henley was on Dark as Tessa Price. Nathan Frazier, he was on Dark as Ben Carter, I think.
Yeah, so a lot of these guys who were on Dark, just as Jobber saying, were seen by WWE, and it's like,
Mandy Winkowski also, she's there too. She's like, in the NWO every period of time.
It's like, sign that man. So
yeah,
this is what I'm saying. We have these companies that are doing stuff like this, and it's getting other wrestlers employed. Stop wishing AEW will fail, please. It's like, your favorite is not going to be found if there's no other companies for them to wrestle for, because then there's nobody bringing their attention to people. Just let people wrestle. Let companies exist. Except for AAA. It's like, I think Conan is just too stubborn to fix that company.
Yeah, at this point, it's a trash
It's
can.
gonna go down with the
Fire.
ship.
Yeah, he's gonna go down with the ship. Even fucking
I respect that.
yeah, that's a level of command that I could not. You cannot get out of me with a gun. So, but even Lucha Underground, you know, which had Conan on it, went to MLW as like a faction. Like they got Dario over there, like bringing back like Lucha people.
Yeah,
to feud with MLW guys, and MLW is like a TNA brand. They're just existing, but they're making fucking stars over there that will be seen by other companies. The more, the merrier, is what I'm saying.
right.
Also, Joe Hendry being on TV is always a plus. I saw Joe Henry back when he was with WCPW, like doing their YouTube shows.
It's noteworthy because Joe Hendry is my first couple times of seeing Joe Hendry outside of like a promo is in NXT, and I think it's he's a really good wrestler, actually.
Yeah. He when What Culture had their wrestling promotion and they had the money to get like everybody over there. Like Rey Mysterio performed, Will Ospreay, Ricochet, Drew McIntyre back when he was Drew Galloway. Joe Hendry started in that promotion on like the British scene, but he was mostly on that one getting exposure. And I think when that one closed down is when he signed with TNA.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think he ever went to NXT UK.
No, he didn't.
I think they got Joe Coffey, who was another big WCPW guy. So again, the more promotions, the better for everybody. You wouldn't have Joe Hendry if it wasn't for an indie promotion. So again, stop whining. Please. I'm asking nicely.
I'm begging you.
Now just wait for like the gun to come out. I'm no longer asking. It's like, but yeah, for Money in the Bank pay-per-view, very good. More good than bad. A few unfortunate botches, but nothing can be perfect. I hope they just make this part of Tongaloa's character, though. Like, I kind of wouldn't mind if this actually just became like his character. But yeah, this women's ladder match, go watch it. This was the best match on the card, honestly.
I think for sure, if you watch a single match, watch the women's ladder match.
They have started letting the women go balls to the wall, and it has been fantastic.
It turned out to be the best thing for him, honestly.
I think, I think the problem was Vince.
So much more interesting.
I think the problem was Vince. Is that
For sure.
they can't outshine the men. And then when Vince left, Trips is like, go do your fucking job. Like, and
Basically.
the ladies were like, you got it. And proceeded to beat the shit out of each other. Because that's a little bit of history lesson. That's what happened with Vince originally. They had Bull Nakano, right? Wrestling in there, and she was way too stiff. And it's like, I'm going to kill the women's division. So, because I can't have these women be stronger than the guys on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's why it became the way that it did during the Attitude Era, up until Ruthless Aggression, where we started getting away from all that into actual wrestling. And now Trips is like, you're fucking pro wrestlers. Go out there and pro wrestle. And these women have just taken the ball and ran with it. And Io looks like she's right at home. You know, Lyra is showing off how tough she is. It's so great, dude. Like, women's wrestling is back on an upswing, and it's so good.
It's about time too.
I like it. I'm a big fan of where it is. I remember seeing an interview with Undertaker's wife, like Michelle McCool.
Michelle McCool, yeah.
Where she was like, we threw better punches than the men, and they didn't want us to throw punches. Or was it kicks? It was something like that.
It was something like, but yeah, that's a Vince energy.
The Undertaker's podcast.
Yeah. That's definitely like Vince written all over it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah. I got nothing left for this.
Yeah, I'm pretty spent.
I'm good.
I kind of like WWE pay-per-views, if not because of the we don't have a lot of matches, so we don't have a lot to cover.
Yeah.
So we kind of can go off on tangents.
Yeah. What is next for us? I believe it's
SummerSlam.
SummerSlam.
Yes. No.
Really?
July 24th, we have Blood and Guts. Which is that a pay-per-view? I don't think that's a pay-per-view though.
I think that's a TV. I think that's a Dynamite.
Is that
July 24th?
Special event. Special event. Okay, so yeah,
that's a Dynamite.
That's a Dynamite. Okay, so yeah, SummerSlam, and then All In. Oh god, this is gonna be a busy as fuck week.
Oh yeah, you know it.
Okay, August 3rd,
biggest events of each company.
Yeah, August 3rd, we have SummerSlam. August 25th, we have All In London. August 31st, we have Bash in Berlin, which I think we're going to be maybe covering.
WWE's running 2 pay-per-views in August.
Bash in Berlin, and then September 7th, All Out.
All Out.
Bash in Berlin.
Oh my, that's 4 events in the span of a month. Woo.
And then we'll have a month off, luckily, before Bad Blood. But then the week after Bad Blood, we got Wrestle Dream. So, but luckily, then we have a month off before Full Gear because we're not going to cover Crown Jewel. So
I'm gonna watch
it. Y'all actually want to cover Wrestle Kingdom?
I got to get up early in the morning for that.
You can watch it later.
It's not even Wrestle. It's Wrestle Dynasty.
No, they are also doing. Apparently, they are also doing Wrestle Kingdom also.
Oh, they are. So they're doing Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty.
Yes. So
that's a tune. Oh, shit.
We're gonna have a busy as fuck August. In end of August, early September. Luckily, we're gonna have a break between Wrestle Dream and Full Gear, which is about a month. But then we have World's End. The week after, we have Wrestle Dynasty if we want to cover that one. And I think the week after that is Wrestle Kingdom. But then, if we don't want to, if we do all those, I believe then from January to April, we have nothing. Because that's all the events are showing me right now. Or they might get something announced, but we have January 5th, Wrestle Dynasty.
And then from January, this the Royal Rumble. That's WrestleMania season.
They haven't
all that. Eventually.
They haven't announced those yet. Okay.
No.
So the only thing I had was like Jan 5th, Wrestle Dynasty, April, WrestleMania. And I'm like, oh god, an extended break. And I completely forgot this is WWE. They do a fucking pay-per-view a month. So
yeah.
Job security. It's
Job
like
security. This isn't
podcast
job- I'm
security.
being paid.
Podcast security.
No, we're absolutely not being paid. I don't think we have ads
Oh,
on
fuck.
any of these. So you want to sponsor us? Ad spot. It's like,
It will help.
make sure it can be divided evenly among 3 people. It's like,
Right.
I think it's like, how much are you paying me? Can it be divided among 3 people? Like,
hey,
What?
fuck, I forget what they're called. I was gonna make a joke about one of those things, sponsor spots that everyone gets.
yeah,
Hey, hymns, hit us up. We're all in our 30s.
yeah,
Well,
I
except
need it.
for X.
I need it. It's like, there's a keeps the hair.
Keeps.
Yeah, keeps. It's like I need keeps.
Right.
But yeah, so this will be it, I think, for a few weeks. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next episode. We have a lot of events over the next year, or over the next rest of the year. This is gonna be fun. Scheduling multiple weeks back to back to back of recording podcasts.
Good on Wednesday, guys. Yeah, good on Wednesday.
Yeah, we're usually
Just
messages.
over and
Are we
over
good for?
chat.
Are we good for tomorrow or Wednesday? It's like,
Right.
Yep.
but yeah, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, again, we have everything up on audio services as well. So you guys can go to the RSS feed, which should be in the description, the link for the link tree, I believe, that we have, or something else down in the description. If you're listening to it on podcast and want to see a video, we do have video feeds here on YouTube. And yeah, follow all of us on whichever social media we have posted down below. I think I have people's links and everything in the description.
Oh.
Shout out to the
And-
one person on Spotify who 5-starred us. You're the real MVP.
Oh, nice.
I think that
Thank
was
you.
me. I think that was me. I thought if I did
Sharky
it, it
giving
would.
himself a medal.
I thought, yeah, it's the fucking Obama picture of me giving myself the medal. The equivalent of me putting a belt on myself for wrestling. Oh no, I think I did that just to kind of push the wheels along. Hey, somebody 5-star this, I'll 5-star this, and just hopefully have like a chain going. But yeah, we'll see you guys on the next episode. And if you guys like this, follow the RSS channel, follow us on the podcast services, follow us here on YouTube. I have noticed that a lot of people have left the YouTube channel, probably only here for the Without Context podcast instead of the wrestling one, so fully understandable on
Right.
that one. But
Bring in a
yeah,
new set of fans. It's fine.
new set of fans. And yeah, we will see you guys on the next episode. So take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Later.